In March 2020, Netflix released what might be its most flabbergasting and binge-worthy true crime series till present. Tiger King recounts the story of the rise and fall of Joe Exotic, the fascinating owner of an exotic animal park in Oklahoma. It explains, in extremely strange detail, the complex personal and professional life of Joe Exotic. It's also a tale that speaks of other cat lovers, polygamy, cult-like arrangements, exploitation, dubious business practices, and accidental death. Even though they had 7 episodes to work with, producers couldn't fit every detail into the documentary. So, here are the top 10 things you didn't know about Tiger King. Before we begin, don't forget to like, subscribe, and click that bell icon. Number 10. Joe Exotic's Animal Magic Act is not so magical. Joe Exotic is involved in more animal-related shenanigans and cheesy stabs at showmanship than a 7-part documentary could show. As touched on in Tiger King, Exotic performed as a magician with an act involving animals under the stage names Aaron Alex and Cody Ryan. His assistant, Aaron Stone, was a guest on the podcast Joe Exotic, Tiger King, and detailed some finer points and deeply unflattering moments from Exotic's magical stint. A major trick entailed making a tiger miraculously appear on stage in a formerly empty cage. A noisy explosion and pyrotechnics provided the necessary misdirect, but those things also scared the big cat, who would show up in the cage near the back, cowering in fear. Watching a tiger in pain could make people feel uncomfortable and give Joe a bad reputation, so he decided to forego the tiger and use a sheep in its place, which he spray-painted black and orange to resemble the tiger. Not only did audiences immediately identify the painted sheep for being an imposter, but it was immensely terrified of pyrotechnics. Stone had to enter the cage and hug the frightened creature for the entirety of the trick. Number 9. John Reinke'S legs. John Reinke, the previous director of Joe Exotic Animal Park, is seen numerous times adjusting his artificial legs, stating that he needs them not solely because of a cat attack, but due to a prior incident as well. Similar to everything in the Tiger King, this is only part of the elaborate story. In 2010, John described the accident to a newspaper, The Oklahoman. Although he labels it as a zipline accident in the series, the article reports it was a bungee jumping accident. It definitely entailed a fall from a petrifying height. It wasn't just a pulley malfunction that caused him to fall 55 feet to the ground and shatter his legs, but he didn't end up on the ground. He dropped onto a 6-inch metal stake, piercing his colon and stomach. Afterward, he undertook more than 20 foot and leg operations. Number 8. Joe Exotic didn't really do much singing. As displayed in Tiger King, Joe Exotic attempted to be a lot of things. He was a zoo managing businessman, an animal handler, and, maybe most surprising of all, a country music singer, who wrote and performed songs talking about his personal life as a tiger lover. Those songs that were downloaded onto CDs and sold in his park's gift shop were so intimate, yet Exotic didn't have a lot to do with it, besides the marketing. According to Tiger King co-star and Joe's sworn enemy, Carole Baskin, those weren't any of his original songs. Baskin revealed on her Big Cat Rescue blog that he only lip-synced to the songs written and recorded by Vince Johnson and Danny Clinton, throwing in that she had emails from Johnson and Clinton, the real composers behind those tunes, to their backstory. Number 7. The disappearance of Carole Baskin's husband is a much larger story. The 3rd episode of Tiger King delves deep into the unknown story of Carole Baskin, head of the Big Cat Rescue Animal Preserve, and subject of a murder-for-hire plot by Joe Exotic. Viewers know that Baskin's former husband, Don Lewis, disappeared in 1997, and Joe Exotic and his posse believe that Baskin killed him and fed his remains to her adored big cats. Some of the details of his disappearance displayed in Tiger King might look suspicious, such as the claim that Lewis tried to file an injunction against his wife after she threatened to physically harm him, but Baskin's side wasn't entirely shown, nor was Tiger King the documentary she initially believed she was assisting to make. They pitched that they were trying to develop the Blackfish of the cat industry, according to Baskin. she told Vanity Fair that the 2013 SeaWorld expose was being referred to. Baskin took part in filming for 5 years, even through the investigation of her former husband's death, which she alleges awakened a lot of distressing memories. She claims that she fully cooperated with authorities in trying to track down Lewis, to no avail, and let Tiger King filmmakers in on her theory, which was that Lewis's secretary killed him. That most certainly is an interesting and irrelevant angle, which is probably why not much importance was paid to it. Number 6. Rick Kirkham's stuff was lost in a fire, yet again. While viewers receive a giant overview of practically every person involved in Tiger King, they don't learn a whole lot about Rick Kirkham. It's known that he's an ex-reporter for the tabloid TV show Inside Edition and was employed as the producer for Joe Exotic's regular internet talk show. Watchers are left with the idea that Kirkham mostly stayed out of the personally and legally catastrophic events everyone else in Tiger King took part in, including how an anonymous actor burned Kirkham's studio, demolishing numerous hours of suggestively incriminating footage in the process. This has not been openly disclosed in Tiger King, but Kirkham was the victim of a second bizarre arson soon after he left the Joe Exotic compound. Kirkham relocated to Dallas and moved in an apartment, which burned down when he was still inside. Kirkham was carefully pulled out by firefighters, although his dog passed away in the blaze. Police never arrested anyone for the fire. Number 5. The tiger is not to be blamed. In the first episode, Kelsey Saffery, one of Joe's employees, is shown right after being bitten by a tiger. Saffery chose to amputate the mauled hand rather than undergo numerous operations, returned to work just 5 days later, and appears throughout the show showing a stump. Saffery had it known from the start that the tiger should not be blamed. In a previous statement, Saffery has said that she broke protocol and put her hand in a cage instead of using the provided stick. Whilst being interviewed by actor David Spade, Saffery said that the tiger did not pay the final price for the sting, and that it was not humiliated, they just took him off the park. Number 4. Joe Exotic Zoo is still open. After Joe's former business partner, Jeff Lowe, claimed ownership over Joe's GW Zoo, it was immediately renamed to Greater Winewood Exotic Animal Park, in a venture to detach itself from its previous owner. Things must not be going great, considering Eric Good, who worked on a Netflix series, got a text message from Lowe saying that they were struggling financially. According to Lowe, this doesn't have much to do with the present situation of the world, but has been a persisting thing for some time now. It's said that it costs around $200 to feed a tiger every week, and with about 200 big cats presently living at the zoo, that's a lot of money. Number 3. The officer investigating the fire at Joe Exotic Zoo had a strange connection to the owner. In March of 2015, a fire let loose inside of Joe Exotic Zoo, torching up the on-site production studio and obliterating countless hours of footage that was being gathered to develop a reality show with the documentary's main subject as its lead. While certainly a bit strange, this isn't all surprising on its own, but what does kick things up a notch in terms of strange is a tale told by Robert Moore. When investigating the fire while conducting research for his podcast, Moore contacted the police officer in charge of the case, and the next day received a heated call from Joe Exotic. How did Exotic know about the call? The author-podcaster alleged that the police officer worked as the zoo owner's limo driver. Number 2. Petting the cubs has a dark side. Joe Exotic gains money by charging people to visit his exotic animal park and take pictures of one another holding huge cat cubs. However, the Los Angeles Times were informed by the directors and writers, Eric Good and Rebecca Chaiklin, that they never let in and hugged the baby cats. Specifically after what they saw, they reported that the majority of the tigers that surrounded them were treated extremely harshly, and that they saw the babies tearfully scream as they were being torn off their mothers. They also reportedly got sick from being manipulated so much, and they got ringworm and scabies. Number 1. Joe Exotic was purposefully cruel to animals, according to people who worked with him at the zoo. Rick Kirkham, the professional journalist and producer who attempted to produce a reality show about GW Zoo, narrated the tale of a woman who dropped off a horse at Joe's zoo and requested him to care for its well-being. The horse only required a place to live out its life. Kirkham reported that the woman was reassured by Joe, who was clearly emotional and grateful that he would look after her horse. Immediately after she left, Joe apparently took Kirkham to the trailer and shot the horse, informing Kirkham that it was food for the tigers. The producer said barbaric behavior like this was not rare from Joe. And that concludes our list of the top things you didn't know about Tiger King. Let us know in the comment section below which one of these facts you'd already heard of. And as always, don't forget to like, subscribe, and click that bell icon. Thanks for watching.